Hi guys, let's talk mountain lion. Rawr. Hi guys, it's Simon from Tech My Life Video, and with WWDC upon us, the talk is software. Well, the talk is also Macs, but the talk is iOS and the talk is mountain lion. I think a lot's going to happen at WWDC in terms of the future features of what mountain lion is going to have. My thoughts are that they've got to do some improvements or some fixes on some of the issues there is with Lion before they start even considering mountain lion. There are some issues there. Look, Mac environment is not perfect. We don't live in some utopian land where everything is perfect. But what I want to do is take you in and show you a couple of the issues that I've had with Lion, and I'll talk about those, and then we'll come back.
Here we have a blank email with a signature, a test signature, as it says here on the side, test. And if we go up to stationery and click on stationery, it shows all the stationery that I have that I've created. Now this will happen with any custom made stationery. In my experience, if you click on a piece of stationery, you will see that it just moves up. There's no stationery there. Now this stationery, you can see, contains some information. The title has changed. And if I click on this bit of stationery, which although it displays as blank, it does have content because I use it all the time, you'll see the title of the email changes, and I can click back and forth, and the stationery is changing. The stationery has been applied. As you can see, there's a blue box around the signature. However, this happens every single time. You need to remove the signature before you apply the stationery, and then once you've applied the stationery, you can see over here that the signature is greyed out. You cannot apply a signature afterwards, so you actually have to have the signature as part of the stationery. This is an issue that goes back to Snow Leopard. It's never been fixed, and as far as I'm concerned, it needs to be addressed. We're going to look at the top menu bar, and you can see here that we've got the menu over this side, and over this side we have a series of icons. They're for various things. This one here is for ScreenFlow that I'm using to record. The next one is for my web connection, webcam. This one here is a recorder for billings, the software I use for billing my clients. I can record time. If I go into an app like Firefox, what you'll see happen is that it now covers up some of those icons. Quite often this time recording device for billings is covered up, which means I actually have to exit the app that I'm in to get it to reappear before I can hit stop. And in this case, to be able to stop this screen record, I had to exit that app to be able to see this icon if I wanted to stop recording using the icon. There are other ways to stop it, but unfortunately this hasn't been fixed. It's the same as it's always been. It's been this way for a long time. It's not like this in Windows. They have a little button on the end there that appears, and it can expand to show you what other icons are available, and I can't believe that this hasn't been addressed. It's really quite frustrating. I'd also like to be able to drag and drop the order of these and set the billings one, for example, to always be over next to the clock. But this is another issue that Mac need to address. Just wanted to show you one last issue with the Adobe software that I was mentioning. Look, I pay for all this software above board. I go out and buy Adobe software because I use it as part of my business, and it's important to support the developers. But basically we've got a series of just coloured squares here. If I select a square, it will show me down here the colour. If I go to the colour, I get a little eyedropper. I can change the colour of that square within those colours. But what I also should be able to do is move this eyedropper anywhere on the screen, in fact, and select a colour, and it should choose that colour. Unfortunately, all it ever chooses is black, no matter what colour you click on. So we just go back to a pinkish colour. Now, same over the side here. If we go over here, if we select the eyedropper, as you can see up in the corner here, it is all just showing up as black. The only place it does actually work is here. If we go to the eyedropper, it will actually give us the colour there. But it's, again, it's convoluted, and it's not the way you want to have your workflow going. So again, that's an issue that hasn't been fixed. This is CS4 with Lion, but it's an issue that's never been fixed, and as far as I'm concerned, it should be. When Lion was released, CS4 was only one version old, and so many people are still using it, and to not have it work properly is pretty disgraceful on behalf of Adobe and Apple. But I mean, I think Apple need to work better with some of these developers. So that's just one last thing.
So that's just a couple of things that really kind of have bugged me. I mean, it may only be a couple of things, but there's a couple of other things, which is that Apple need to work better with some of the developers, because when Lion came out, Adobe Software didn't work. It was like, don't upgrade. Unless you're on certain versions of the software, it was like, don't upgrade, just don't do it. And I had to wait 4 months, I think it was, before I could upgrade my computer, because the Adobe software I use on a very regular basis didn't work, and it still doesn't work. Even now, it still doesn't work properly, which is pretty disappointing. So I think Apple do need to do a better job of working with some of those kind of leading software companies. Also, AirDrop, a feature that just doesn't work with old Macs. It just says, nah, you're not good enough, we're not going to work with you. And that's really frustrating, because you may have a new Mac, but you may also have an old Mac, and it's just like, hey bitches, you just got to update to the latest of everything, because we're not going to let you do it. It's just like, I want to transfer a file. I don't care if it takes like a few seconds longer, because the network speed of that machine isn't quite as fantastic as you'd like it to be. It should still work, and it doesn't. So there's a few little pet peeves there, but they're just little things. They interrupt your workflow basically. I'd like AirDrop to actually, in terms of what do I think it will have or should have. I mean, AirDrop is a good one to start with, in terms of, because I'm talking about it, is that I think that you should be able to drop files from your Mac to your phone or your iPad into a documents folder. It should be any document. The iOS should be able to open it, in terms of whether it's well, it could be a keynote presentation, it could be a PDF, it could be a video file, it could be it could be an audio file. I think you should be able to put them on a folder. You should have to sync with iTunes. You should have to drag them into iTunes and sync your phone. It has to sit there and do all the backing up, and then it transfers, blah 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 blah. I want to drag and drop it right now. I want to have a folder where I go, I want that. I should be able to right click on a file and say, and I should be able to, in the list there, it should have all my devices, and I should say iPhone 4, bang, gone, or iPad 2, bang, gone, whichever device it is, it should be straight there. It should sit there copying, pop up on a little notification on the iPad. Your files just in your folder. You click on the notification, it takes you to the folder. There's the thing. You open it up. You can listen to the audio file. I just think that should be possible. I'm not saying that once it's on there, you should be able to necessarily transfer it onto other devices. I mean, we're not talking about piracy here. We're talking about quick access to a series of documents that I may want to use for a business presentation. I don't have to go to a third-party app like Dropbox to transfer those files. And leading on from that, I think what we'll see with Mountain Lion is better iCloud integration, because currently if I edit a document on my iPad in Pages, it's updated on my iPhone. It's also updated on iCloud, but if I take it off iCloud and put it on my Mac and update it, it doesn't then sync back to everything else. It just loses that syncing. So I think there needs to be better integration there. And the thing with iCloud is that those documents, I don't believe at the moment take up any of the storage space. No, I'm not 100% sure about that. Strike that. Somebody correct me in the comments. Yeah, that's a good way to get comments. Say something stupid and people will comment. But I'm just wondering, there needs to be a better way it's like you need to nominate files and say, this one, iCloud, even though it's in this folder, it needs to be an iCloud document as well. Notification Center, look, that's coming. There's no doubt about that. That's going to be integrated into iOS, Mountain Lion the iOS notifications. You know, you change something on your iPad, it goes onto your iPhone. All those things are going to sync up even better. And I think Siri is probably the big thing that's going to be coming to Macs. I think that's going to happen, that evolution. Obviously the thing with Siri is you need to be connected to the internet. Some people find it painful that with a lot of things these days you have to be connected to the internet, like some computer games that get released won't mention that you have to be connected to the internet to even play a game by yourself. So you know, there are some frustrations with that Siri can't work offline. I think that's why it's been delayed on the iPad, in terms because most iPads, well, some iPads are not connected to a network, they're just used, and therefore that Siri function disappears. It would be nice if some of that functionality was on board. Maybe some of the dictation was on board, and some of the more complicated features were, you know, via the internet. But look, that's what I think at the moment with Mountain Lion. I'm Simon from Tech My Life Video. I look forward to WWDC and some follow-up videos in the coming weeks on the developments that happen there and the things that are spoken about. As I said before, please comment on the video. Love to hear your thoughts. Always try to respond to comments when I can. Please like the video and please subscribe to the channel. I'm Simon, Tech My Life Video. See you next time. Bye.